is the deepest and closest part for me is representing my son as a parent here today. And that's what I do. I'm called to several special needs centers and schools and other private groups as well to give this particular talk about autism intervention with diet. So first of all, this is April, the month of April, and other than the holy days of fasting going on, April is a month of autism. April 2nd is World Autism Day, and this month we celebrate the neurodiversity which surrounds us with our special angels. So first of all, another thing I would like to add, it's so empowering and inspiring to see our special angels lead us in a prayer and Bible reading. And I must say that 100% that um, is a tribute to the power of us as parents and caregivers. And that is why I want to emphasize that as a parent and caregiver, we ourselves don't know the power God has given us. And we have been specially chosen by God. And I always believe that. It's not just God has randomly chosen certain parents. We have been blessed by God. God has entrusted his beautiful, innocent angels in our hands for a reason. And it's up to you to introspect and understand how you can yourself influence and uphold your child in the best possible way. So now I'll get into my topic, which is how dietary intervention helps with autism and not just autism. Maybe I think on the larger spectrum, I'm looking about the betterment of everyone and anyone's health. So, as you know, autism is a neurological and developmental disorder. There are so many names. There's ADHD, there's ADD, there's GDD, which is global developmental delay. Then, of course, you have the other side where you have CP, cerebral palsy children. We also have, they have other factors which put them in this particular situation. You have the Down syndrome children who are blessed with an extra chromosome. These are all our special angels, our special children. They have got these labels, and this is what has brought us all together today. But the key factor of concern for us parents is always the betterment of our children. Betterment in the sense, how can we improve them? How can we help them? We need to achieve certain goals, and in terms of health, I also always emphasize on immunity. Immunity is very important because, especially as a mother of a silent child, my son was nonverbal for almost up till age 4. It's difficult for a parent to understand if your child has a tummy pain or a tooth pain or anything. Fever, it's pretty obvious. You can understand a child has a fever or a cold, or the child has cut his finger or hurt himself falling down. How do you understand internally what is wrong, And so it's very important to work on immunity and other than that, the betterment of health. Now, I'm not suggesting immunity means you go and get a flu shot or a vaccine. No, I'm definitely not emphasizing that. I believe that Mother Nature has given us the best gift, which is food. Food is the best medicine in every way possible. So 100 years ago, our ancestors, our grandparents, our great grandparents, they didn't have any access to supermarkets and hypermarkets. It was a simple, very easy, slow life. Right now, we lead a very fast-paced urban life. They had a very slow, very easy-going life. Yes, it was challenging. Unlike us, we have microwaves, we have mobiles, everything is very easy now for us. But when it came to food, they had it way better than us, 100%. I will always say they had the best access to organic, wild grown produce. When I mean wild grown, you go back to Kerala, you go back to where your ancestors came from, you see the untouched land. That is what we call wild grown. Organic is again a label, but wild grown yields the best produce, and always it is the best for our own health. So getting into the factor that now we're in 2025, we lead a fast-paced life, but sadly, 90% of the food products or any which products you look at, it's all not natural and it's full of toxic elements. I'm talking about lab-grown meat, genetically modified wheat, pesticide-laden vegetables, wax-covered fruit. Even cows and fish are injected with hormones as we speak. And all of these modern day factors, all of these toxic elements are the ones which are hurting and affecting our children's gut. The gut microbiome is compromised. And the gut is the epicenter for all of us, which is your stomach lining. The gut is where you can understand that there is a root cause that something is going on. And we need to help our body with overall healing. And once there's an overall healing for our child, this automatically reflects in the brain, especially for children with ADHD, autism, PDD, those kind of a thing. So my son Ethan, he was diagnosed at the age of 2.5 with ADD and PDD, ADHD and PDD. Now, he was a late bloomer. He's my second child. My elder one now is 17. Ethan is 13. So you know how family and friends are, oh, boys are slow, and it never hit us that, and he never spoke as well. He never spoke. There were many issues, in fact, with him. Up until age of 18 months, he couldn't walk, and one doctor even told us that your son is never going to walk. So these were a lot of challenges which we faced, and yes, we overcame the walking part that required physio intervention. But parallelly, the autism diagnosis was quite a shocker for us because that was a new term for my family, for my husband's family. And of course, we had heard of it, we had seen vaguely some cases, but suddenly being entrusted with a special child, we were taken aback. And then, as you know, one gets bombarded by suggestions from all your relatives and friends and good, people who have good-hearted intentions. But at that point, we knew there was many issues which we as parents were ignoring. He was extremely violent. He was hyper. He was non-verbal. He was distractive. He was not focused. He never listened or understood us. So no eye contact. Speech was never there. So it was as if he was there physically, but maybe he had a brain fog, it was frustrating for me as a family to, understand what was going on. We put him on therapy. Immediately we put him on therapy. He also attended a play school simultaneously. And for the next 2 years plus, we've heavily into all of his needs in terms of therapy. I never got into the whole dietary intervention at all. You know, and in fact, I never even thought about it because as a family, we never ate any unhealthy food. We don't touch juice, we don't touch colas. And in fact, I'm not a person who cooks with any cubes and MSG, which again, I know is in the long run going to damage. So, despite that, at a later stage, when I got into the research of it, I realized that we were consuming extremely toxic food, you know. And also in the process of that research, by talking to other parents and other groups, they really helped me immensely. I understood and came to know about the gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free diet. So dairy meaning it is casein free. So again, a doctor randomly suggested go for it, there have been results. So we were very strict. We tried it. It was very tough for the family. But I'll be honest with you, for us, it didn't work being on 100% gluten-free, casein-free, sugar-free diet. And I don't believe there is anything such as sugar-free because even fruit has sugar, dates have sugar, so there's no way you can avoid sugar. But natural sugar, of course, is obviously way better than sugar which you find in all of the processed food, which is a white sugar, which is highly bleached and processed. So we did take baby steps then because at one shot, to start administering this kind of a strict diet for a 3-year-old, you know how even a normal 3-year-old is so cranky, so picky. It was challenging. My son was 3, my daughter was 5.5. And for us, it was extremely challenging. Despite that, we did our best, and also, parallelly, my son had bronchitis going on. This was every year from the age of 1, 2, 3. He was annually admitted to the hospital for bronchitis. And it worried me as to how and why he has got this. And when he got admitted for the third time, I felt that it's important that I address his immunity, you know. And again, as a new parent getting into autism, we tried homeopathy for 2 years. It didn't work. We went to Bombay for that. We tried a herbal treatment in Delhi. We tried Ayurvedic treatment in Kerala. And for us, now, of course, everyone's case is different, but for us, the herbal treatment made it much worse. He had the worst flare-ups and meltdowns, and we were told that this would happen, then it would subside, and I really pushed my child to a corner with all of these treatments. And honestly, we didn't have any results. So by the age of 4, I was fed up as a parent. My child was turning 4 plus, and it was too much really to see him go through this struggle every day. He wants to tell me something, he cannot communicate, so there's a meltdown. He had a lot of sensory issues, flapping, stimming. He didn't wear a certain fabric. He hated denim. He would refuse to wear shoes. So buying him new shoes was another traumatic experience. Um, and there were so many sensory issues, certain sticky things he didn't like. So every time we would head out with him, he was strapped in the stroller because he's so hyper, he would run away. So it was difficult as a parent, as a caregiver, to see my child struggling, and I am helpless because all I do is hand over my child to a therapist or the center, and they take over, you know. But I felt I need to do something to help him out. And the only skills I felt I had is cooking. I love cooking, enjoy cooking. And so I decided it's time I put my cooking skills to use. And so I made the decision of getting into a clean eating diet, which thankfully in the long run has helped our entire family. So what I did was I cut out all types of processed food. Now, when I say processed food, this is when you go to the supermarket, it's the central zone. So supermarkets have several zones, the hypermarkets. You've got the fresh produce, the meat. These are all of the extremities, and the center aisles are full of your packaged and processed cereals or biscuits and cookies, and even so-called diet and healthy products are unfortunately not so healthy when you actually read the labels. So getting back to it, we cut out processed food. I definitely cut out white sugar because sugar is really terrible for a child with ADHD, especially white sugar. It's processed, it's bleached. So, of course, when I give him milk in the morning, I needed to put a sweetener. So I replaced it with honey. or agave syrup or date syrup, and even jaggery. And this is something I implemented even for us when I thought, why should I just restrict this diet to my son? And even I took a step-by-step process. I started putting brown sugar in my tea instead of white sugar, and now I drink it with just jaggery, or sometimes I just avoid any kind of sugar because now my sugar tolerance and my child's and my entire family, we can't, we have cut out sugar for so many years. We just can't tolerate any extreme sweetness anymore, you know. Um, Other than that, I did cut out flour, which is maida, because it is highly bleached. We have the facility and privilege here of getting wheat milled. If you have that kind of access, I would recommend you do that if you are chapati and roti eaters. Because if you get the pure whole wheat and mill it, as compared to your packaged wheat, which is fortified with vitamin D and all, and a lot of other things which we're not aware, because I know for a fact that the atta you get, which is packaged, has got lots of white maida included in it. So we cut out flour uh, completely, but maida definitely was out. Atta, which is whole wheat flour, we use it randomly, not all the time. Instead, we do cook. I cook with whole wheat, which you get in the form of dalia or bulgur. These are the options available in the supermarket. Whole wheat is not really that processed as compared to the fine powder. I also started making my own gluten-free flour because when I went out to buy gluten-free flour, I noticed there was xanthan gum, and my son got highly allergic to xanthan gum. We had to realize the hard way. And also, while experimenting with gluten-free, elements, I realized is allergic to certain like buckwheat apparently is gluten free, but my son had a terrible allergy to it. So it was a big trial for us to test him with each and every, store-bought gluten-free pasta. So make sure you read the labels. If it's a gluten-free pasta, make sure that it's just corn and salt and water, or rice pasta. It should just be rice, salt, and water, and it shouldn't have all this strange chemical sort of names associated to it, like E2 and all these hidden names which are actually very toxic to the body. So again, I started cooking from scratch. I tried to cut out, like sometimes I used to make pasta and dump a bottle of pasta sauce, but I cut out things like that. I make my own ghee from scratch, because ghee is excellent brain boosting powers. I'll get to that in a later note. And the most important factor, which really worked for his immunity, was bone broth. Bone broth is broth made from chicken bones or beef, lamb, even fish broth is great. As you know, fish is excellent for the brain. I made sure my child had bone broth every day. Now it's a regime in my house. Every evening he knows, he'll look at the time, he knows 7 o'clock is dinner time. He will sit at his table and he will wait because he knows that he's going to get his bowl of bone broth first. That's how he starts his dinner, and then it goes on to the other items which he goes on for dinner. And also, what we did was for milk, of course, we need milk for the calcium and all of those important elements. I cut out typical cow's milk, and I give him camel milk, almond milk, sometimes hazelnut, cashew milk, depending on availability and the situation. Camel milk, of course, we have access to it easily here in the Middle East. I believe there is camel milk powder. I think if you go on Amazon, you'll get it. It has got excellent health benefits. And okay, there are some people who are allergic to camel milk. So I would say give it with caution. Unfortunately, we get pasteurized camel milk here, but I know for a fact that the unpasteurized version is the best for the child, and you're literally supposed to just give a spoon, one spoon for the child, and that's it. It's great, great medicinal properties, but of course, due to the health and safety restrictions here, we don't get access to unpasteurized camel milk. But I would suggest if you can give almond milk. I also believe A2 Gir cow's milk is better and doesn't cause flare-ups as compared to the A1 milk, which is the typical milk which you get access to in the market. So also in terms, of course, my son goes to school. He goes to a special needs school and he loves going to his school. Um, I packed very healthy snacks, and he goes every day with some salad, veggies, some kind of cut fruit, anything. Be creative. I know kids are extremely picky. Trust me, I have worked with two of them. My daughter sometimes is more picky than my son in certain, food choices. And so try to work around what they like initially and then slowly introduce new things to them. Uh, Simple, basic things like cut cucumber, carrots, cherry tomato, boiled sweet corn. This always works with kids. Simple fruits like apple, oranges, grapes, all of this works. Banana is great, but my children don't have the patience of eating one big, huge banana. So I go for the Kerala small banana. It's very easy. It goes into your school lunch box as well. And in terms of protein element, I always add either boiled eggs, scrambled eggs, baked eggs. I bake eggs with certain vegetables. These are some recipes you'll find on my blog. Grilled tofu, my kids seem to like it, or meat, like you can make homemade chicken nuggets. It's very easy. Or even kebabs. Kebabs are very easy to make. There's really nothing. All you do is mince meat, add some onions, garlic, all your spices, let it marinate for a while and just shape it into cutlets. And again, you can try making cutlets minus the breadcrumbs, maybe instead of breadcrumbs, you can crush cornflakes. Cornflakes are actually naturally gluten-free, and it comes to a nice crunchy powder which you can use and substitute with. A lot of people also work with puffed rice. As you know, in you get it in India, bhel. It's called bhel, puffed rice, and you can even blend puffed rice, make a powder out of it, and use it as a gluten-free coating for your cutlets. Because I know children love cutlets, and that's something they can't resist. Um, so lunch options at home again is rice, dal, fish, assorted veggies, and it's very important to portion things in the right way. I don't believe in loading a plate with excess of rice because rice, I believe, is frankly empty calories and carbs. You need to balance it out. Children need more nutritional balanced meals. So fish, I feel, is very important for children. It helps with their brain power. And I use an assortment of veggies. My children have no idea the kind of veggies I am sneaking in, whether it is a dal, whether it is a mutton curry. I make chicken nuggets and I sneak in zucchini into it. They have no clue because there is a clever way of doing it. And these are instances you'll also find in my blog. Another thing I want to say is, please do and follow recipes or your cooking, whatever is comfortable for you, do it your way and adapt to what your children like, you know. And I don't believe in having separate meals for the children. Everyone should enjoy meals. It's difficult to start cooking for separate meals for each and every person. So children should also understand spice. So I slowly started introducing spicy food, and my son now has spicy food. There's no problem. I have always kept it a mid-range. But here and there are times I have introduced some spicy food, and he has slowly, and my elder one as well, because there are times when you go out and you can't really separately order some food for the children which is non-spicy. So I believe children should eat exactly what we are eating as long as it's healthy. And dinner options would be again protein, would be chicken or meat, or and of course the soup would be there. Now, it's not necessary that you will give the child bone broth as it is. So I make bone broth, a big bowl of it, and that goes on for 2 days or 3 days. But what I also do is the child will obviously get bored getting the same thing every day. So one day I use it as is. I do sprinkle some seaweed in it. Seaweed, if you have access to now, is available in every supermarket. Just crush it and put it in. It really has no taste. And you can also use the bone broth as a base for your soups and stews. Okay. So when you make like a creamy chicken soup or a mushroom soup or a sweet corn soup, whatever, your base is bone broth. And trust me, this is what the food industry also does. This is why the food tastes so good. It's just that they also add their additional flavor enhancers. But this broth, which is the chicken or the meat broth, is heavily used in the food industry because it's a natural flavor enhancer. But when you make it at home, you're making it with the bones, with vegetables, and you're in full control of how to make this particular bone broth. And I'm sure as when you were children as well, when you had fever and you were sick, your mother would have made, mutton pepper soup, which is a clear soup, or a chicken noodle soup. It always has helped, especially with flu symptoms. So again, breakfast, I believe, is the most important meal, and I think we South Indians are blessed. We have so many breakfast options. There's idli, there's dosa, there's appam. But I have understood that an excess of rice also has its negative effects, because too much of rice is not really good for your body. Rice, because again, you cannot escape the fact that they have used certain pesticides and things. So an excess of rice is really bad for the system, because there is arsenic content in the rice, and small amounts of rice is okay. But we as South Indians, we make appam in the morning, we will have rice for dinner, for lunch, and then we will probably have a dosa or whatever, idiyappam with, egg curry or chicken for dinner, and that's all rice. So I think it's very important to balance it out and choose other options. So my son loves dosa. He really loves dosa. So most of the time I make a ragi dosa or a lentil dosa. It's basically a mix of assorted lentils, and I skip the rice part of it completely, because lunch is anyway rice, and I want to balance out giving him, a healthy set of carbs. And also, when it comes to other options, if you want to get deeper into the gluten-free diet, there are many options now. There is sweet potato noodles available. There is mung bean noodles available. There is rice noodles, corn-based pasta. There are so many options available in the supermarket. But again, like I said, be cautious. Look at the ingredients, the labels, and based on that, if it's 2 or 3 ingredients, it's fine, it's safe. Or if it has got like 10 ingredients and some strange sounding names, I would say avoid it, because even sugar is added to so many things, so this recipe blog I can share with you. Actually, I have created it in 2017, because this journey has been so long. I met so many parents, and I used to keep sharing recipes with other parents, because cooking is something I used to teach back in India when I was very young. I used to conduct cooking classes. So it was very natural for me to experiment in the kitchen. And when it became quite a demand. Every day I would get calls from these parents from other groups asking for recipes. I decided, okay, it's high time I put together all these recipes in my blog. And so if you go to the section, you will see gluten-free, you will see vegan, you will see raw recipes. It helps you detox your body if you get into a raw diet. And and there's a non-vegetarian section as well for the protein element of your meal. So again, when it comes to snacks, also because we are talking about kids want to snack all the time, 24/7. My son was like that. Because he was hyper, he would burn energy. He was eating all the time, and so I had to think, how can I get him to eat healthy snacks instead of a cookie or a chocolate, which again, it doesn't exist anymore in our kitchen. We don't keep anything unhealthy. So now instead, there's roasted almond as an option, roasted makhana, which is fox nuts. It's amazing. I just roast it with some ghee. He loves it. Homemade popcorn, cashews, peanuts, and our Indian snacks. Again, in Kerala, we are so blessed. We have got access to amazing snacks, which are as natural as possible, like fried banana chips and tapioca chips, and it's just fried in coconut oil. So it's amazing if you get access to that and introduce those snacks. In the North Indian side, there are basin based snacks, which there's something called ghatia, which is made of basin flour, purely basin. Basin flour is chickpea flour, which is again gluten free. And if you can make it at home, great. If not, try to access it in these small local stores where they make it from scratch, and it has a short shelf life. Having a short shelf life shows that it's made well with pure ingredients instead of having a longer shelf life, which they've done something, they've added something to it. So once you start implementing this healthy cooking process, you will get results. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to get results in 1 day, 2 days. No, it takes time. Just like homeopathy for certain ailments takes a time and there's a process, you have to trust the process, and you will be guaranteed some kind of results. And if you as a family could make this small but significant adjustment for your special angel, it will automatically start to reflect in your own health. And honestly, as parents, it's important for us to stay healthy so that we can support our children. Because if we are sick and we're in bed, then who is going to take care of our special angel, isn't it? So it's very important that we also, I mean, I had a tendency of just ignoring my own health until, I realized that when I'm sick, when I'm down, and it's difficult at home for everybody to handle my son. So as parents, it's important for us also to focus on our own health. And it's been 10 years almost now, getting into this whole diet intervention journey with Ethan. And I kept a diary. There's a log, because one of our therapists advised us that you keep a log, because every time you have a gain, you will have it's a milestone. So my initial log was the initial days of him being hyper, and he was so destructive. He got a speech after age 4. He was potty trained after age 7, you know. But it's been baby steps for us. So I'm not saying that my child is healed. No, there's no such term. There is no term. You can't heal autism. Unfortunately, it is difficult for us to even accept that. But I think my son is in a better space right now because he has had numerous gains. He's no longer that lost child, sitting in a corner. He, from no speech, he speaks several words and sentences, and he's very independent. And the most important factor for me now, he's very calm and his level of comprehension is very high. From a hyper frustrated child of age 3, now he is happy and healthy at age 13. We are totally done with his bronchitis situation, which he suffered from age 1, 2, and 3. He doesn't have bronchitis anymore, and touchwood, his immunity level, I think, is way better than even mine. He enjoys going to his school and takes part in school activities like annual concerts, and he volunteers in the school canteen. So, I mean, trust me, we are not in a perfect situation with him right now, but I decided again it's important to train him in life skills. He has a long, long way to go, obviously. I can't allow him to get into the elevator also independently alone. So, like I said, we have a long way to go. But in terms of life skill, he is my right-hand man at home. He enjoys doing errands. He handles the washing machine, the loading, unloading, taking the clothes to the balcony. He waters the plants. We have a water filter. It's his job to, fill up all the bottles. At times, he does 10 to 15 bottles a day. He doesn't complain ever. His job is to peel, and because there's a lot of thing happening at home, I thought I'll take again baby steps to introduce him to kitchen skills. So he very patiently peels garlic and onions. And when I realized he has that patience and interest, I bought a press chopper so he can put all the garlic and onions in and he can chop it up for me. And but the good thing is he does all of these errands with a smile on his face, and his focus for that is excellent. But of course, there's no good and bad side to this. It's just that if I make him sit down to write and read, do anything academic, he will not sit. So it's important for you to understand what your child is good at. Maybe most of the special children, unless they are high functioning, they're not really interested in academics. So it's important as a parent to identify what they're good at. My son enjoys singing, so he he loves listening to music. So I encourage him in that. But academics, nope, he has no interest in academics. So each parent can identify what the child is interested in. Maybe one of the children are good in swimming, or some of your children are good in painting. So it's up to us to identify. Also, a lot of progress came from multivitamins and supplements which we gave him. And I wouldn't say that I credit everything to the food. No, it's important to focus on these things. I have all of this here so I can share with you what we have given. So I started him off on probiotics. So this is probiotics. And when you start it off for your child, you start with the lowest CFU. Right now, this one is a 50 billion CFU, which is very high. So when you start off probiotic for a child, you should start it off with the lowest recommended CFU, and then you gradually go upwards. And then we give him vitamin D. Vitamin D, it's not a daily thing. Probiotics is daily. Vitamin D is not daily. We also give him omega. Again, I used to earlier give it on a daily basis. It's omega 6 and 3. But at this point, I'm slowly phasing it out. I feel he doesn't need it as much. Once in a while, I give him calcium. And also, there was a time I was giving magnesium to him daily because it really helps with the calming process, especially when you have a hyper child. It's very important to give him magnesium. Now, another thing which I am giving my child is zinc. Zinc is something very, very important for special needs children. It really helps them focus and be calm, and it has helped us a lot. But again, this is not something we give on a daily basis. We don't give zinc on a daily basis. Um, Another thing which I am giving him is this cow's ghee. Now, this is A2 Gir cow's ghee, which is 1 teaspoon he gets in the morning before breakfast. And he gets this organic coconut, virgin coconut oil. This 1 teaspoon is given to him before lunch and dinner every day. So these are very essential, and I would recommend do your own research, of course. And each child has a very different biochemistry internally. So this is what worked for us. And just think of this as a testimonial to you as a parent, because maybe zinc will work for one child and it will not work for another child. So it's important. Now, probiotic in general is excellent because our children, especially children on the spectrum, have a leaky gut issue. And another thing, they have constipation issues. So we have faced terrible, terrible situations with the constipation. And even now, on a monthly basis, it happens. This is something I have spoken to many other parents. And what helps us is flaxseed crushed flaxseed. A half a teaspoon has helped us. I just put it in the soup or stew, or it has again no taste. Soaked basil seeds. Basil seeds are the seeds you find in Faluda. That has really helped. It has really helped my son. Even chia seeds has helped relieve his constipation issues. Because children, they really don't tend to eat too much fiber, so this has helped. So again, these are very important for our children. But before you just go and pick up all of this, I highly recommend you do two tests before you do this. First of all, is a blood test. A blood test is very important, and this helped us in the initial days. I think he must have been 4 or 5 when I did his first blood test to understand what my child is lacking. So with the help of a pediatrician and a nutritionist, you can work out a chart based on your child's deficiencies. Because again, I was dealing with a silent child. I don't know what he's deficient in. So it was important for me to look at the blood samples to understand, is his iron low? If your iron is low, you know what you need to get into the diet, give the diet. And generally, all of us I know are lacking in vitamin D. So please ensure your child gets vitamin D either in a supplement or a safe sunshine format. And another thing, vitamin B12. This is excellent for children with ADHD because it helps regulate their mood and attention and that impulse control which they tend to have. The second test I would suggest is a food allergy test. This again we did when he must have been 6 or 7, because I felt personally that I don't think my son is allergic to wheat. So I had to understand that. And so I did the food allergy test. As I was right, he wasn't allergic to wheat, but he's definitely allergic to many other things. So that helped me realize that, okay, I can give him wheat maybe in the whole form, not in the processed milled form, you know. And this food allergy test can also tell you which food will give your child a flare up. Other than this, I would also encourage, especially parents with young children, you should encourage playtime in the park, or if you have a pool access. This really helps the child burn energy, especially the hyper children, the children with ADHD. Going to a park, they can play. They play in the mud. It's important to play in the mud, so the child can play with other children. Um, or if you get to the pool, the child can sit in the pool. It helps calm them down a lot. Or you can visit the beach. Walking barefoot in the beach or the park really helps with the grounding. And the salt water in the ocean has many healing properties. My son, honestly, he doesn't swim, but he will sit in the pool for hours. He is very happy. It really calms him down. Or if I take him to the beach, again, there is a safe area where the children can go to the beach. It's kind of cordoned off. And he will sit. he's not brave enough to go in, but he just sits and enjoys the waves just surrounding him, you know. So these are small ways we can help our children build good health, immunity, and certainly we can see some gains. So I'm not really specifically advocating a gluten-free diet or a casein-free. You need to understand what your child is allergic to. But I would always advocate a clean eating diet. And a clean eating diet, again, going back, is what our ancestors practiced because they didn't have anything, any access to anything processed in their days. And I would also encourage special needs parents and caregivers to try it out, which means cutting out canned goods and processed food and junk food and all of this. Like I said, even when you go to the healthy section, uh, low fat milk and skim milk has got very high sugar content. So you should be careful when you because they won't even write there's sugar in it. They'll put in some strange ingredient in that, and that is actually the sugar, which is, and sadly, even the store-bought yogurt has got very high sugar content in it. So if you have the liberty of time, please make your own yogurt, go for full cream milk, and if you dilute it with water, that's as good as your skim milk, you know. Don't buy skim milk specifically because then you're putting in sugar and that's going to lead to diabetes. And so these are ways where we can stay vigilant in terms of diet intervention and also these so-called sugar-free labeled packaged goods. They have carcinogens in it, which again has very bad long-term health implications. Even these store-bought gluten-free flours, like I said, has got stabilizers and other substances added to increase shelf life. If you can make your own gluten-free flour, that's great. Read the labels. Even a box of cornflakes shouldn't have more than 2 to 3 ingredients. You can make granola at home. It's so easy. You just need a packet of gluten-free oats and dry fruit and honey. That's in my recipe blog. You'll find a granola recipe. It's very easy to make granola. And you'll be surprised to know that actually oats is naturally gluten-free. But the sad fact is that 90% of the oats you get in the market is processed so in such an extreme manner that it is no longer gluten-free. They add a lot of stuff to it, especially the quick cooking oats. So there are certain brands where you can easily pick up a gluten-free oats. Um, Now, coming to the clean eating diet at home, I know it can sound challenging to certain parents. It was a huge task for me, especially in the early days of diet intervention, when the doctors suggested cut out gluten, sugar, and milk and things like that. Because my elder one was around, who's poor child, she had to sacrifice her favorite cookies and treats for the sake of her brother. We threw away all sorts of chips, and that was. A sight for her poor child. She had to be taken away from all her favorite things. But in the long run, she also has realized that it has helped, with no junk food. Your Maggie, your box noodles, it's got wax in it. Those tastemakers are even more dangerous. So these are a big no-no for my son's diet. Like I said, there are other options. Definitely give your child noodles. There is rice noodles, there's mung bean noodles, there's sweet potato noodles, there's so many amazing noodles options and pasta options which I know it's difficult to make this from scratch, but there are many options. If your child is not allergic to wheat, maybe give the whole wheat pasta option, and give your children nutritious balanced meal, loads of fish. Eggs are again very important for the brain, assorted veggies. I think it's important to focus on a spectrum as far as the vegetables are concerned because uh, kids naturally love potatoes and we end up giving them potatoes in everything. but I should emphasize that it's important that we give a rainbow of colors in terms of their vegetables. These are things they may not like, but it is important. For example, if you're making a sambar, you put pumpkin. Pumpkin is excellent for health. I make pumpkin pancakes, cupcakes, cakes, pumpkin bread, make banana bread. We have got in Kerala, we have the plantain. I have made even a cake with plantain, and the kids have enjoyed it. So it's important that we adapt. I made chicken poppers, which is minced meat, which is minced chicken, and there was zucchini put in it, carrots put in it. If your kids love hummus, you could make hummus, but instead of an traditional hummus. You could make it a carrot hummus, a beetroot hummus, avocado, whatever your child accepts, you have to initially introduce. And slowly, the child will automatically start showing an interest in these different food items. You'll be surprised that capsicum has got higher vitamin C content than even oranges. So capsicum is something why I always include in the kids' meals. You can add it to noodles, soups and stews, you know, fried rice, any place possible. My son is not so crazy about salads, but it's excellent to have it as along with salads. He's a bit picky, like your children would be picky in certain elements. So he doesn't like lettuce leaves, but he would be happy to have when I mix up cherry tomatoes, sweet corn, and cheese. He loves cheese as well. So he will happily have it. So you can work on what your child likes, try experimenting with what they like. I do think a lot of children like soups. If you go to a Chinese restaurant, I know children like sweet corn soup. So you can make sweet corn soup, and as you're adding egg and sweet corn, you can also shred up a little cabbage to it. It looks exactly like the eggs. Children will not suspect that there is cabbage, which is, my kids find it a very boring vegetable, but I think it would really help the child. What I also do, sorry, sometimes when my son is having a creamy soup, I swirl some extra virgin olive oil. Again, that in the raw form, only the extra virgin olive oil in the raw form has got immense health benefits. So it's been almost, like I said, 10 years, and now my son has ragi dosa, millet. He has quinoa, chia, so many things. The poor child has been having, but it's been an uphill task. Naturally, it's not been an easy task. And like I mentioned, if you cook from scratch, then you have full control as to what goes into that food, into that meal. And of course, nothing can replace that. Nothing is higher than the love we as parents and caregivers have for our special angels, our children. So when you cook for them, God is automatically providing a healing process, the healing powers into each meal which we lovingly prepare for our family. So I want to also give you a few more things. We do add sesame seeds. Sesame has got very high health benefits. So I crush it and in a powdered form. Again, I add it to soups and things. Another very important thing I realized, this is bee pollen. And bee pollen has got excellent health benefits for everybody, but especially for our children in terms of neurological development, it really helps and support. So whatever I have said in terms of adding a multivitamin or a supplement, this is something one has to do, obviously, by one doing a blood test for the child to understand if the child has got high iron, you don't need to add iron supplement, or you don't need to give him a lot of beef or things like that, where you get iron from. So it's important to understand what your child lacks and work. on that aspect and help. Now, portion control again is very important when it comes to flax seeds or when it comes to the oils I suggested, whether it's ghee or whatever. Like a bee pollen, maybe a half teaspoon on a daily basis is more than enough. You can't do beyond that. Human beings cannot consume more than 2 teaspoons of chia seeds a day, or even nuts for that fact. My son loves, he enjoys munching on his nuts. Then I make bhel for him sometimes, which is with the rice, puffed rice. He loves bhel, and makhana as well. But especially when it comes to nuts, you have to make sure there's portion control because you should not eat beyond a certain level. Like, I'm not sure if you're aware, Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are great, but not good. If you eat beyond five, you can be poisoned. So for every single aspect, one has to understand the portions. Just because it is healthy doesn't mean you can go overboard munching on it. Something which I also added um, for our daily meals is moringa, our amazing tree, which is native to India, the moringa tree. Um, you're using it in sambar, but the leaves are amazing. My kids refuse to have that in sambar, so I had to think of ways how to include it because again it is excellent for health. So we make dal and paratha out of it and they just love it. So this is again methods in which food is used to help our body. And I don't know if you all have recently heard about the famous cricketer Navjot Singh Sidhu. He had come into the media to give his testimonial about his wife who was in the fourth stage of cancer, and the doctors had said there's nothing much we can do. And it's amazing. It's amazing how the lady has transformed. She's cancer free now because they also implemented dietary intervention. So it's not just for our special angels, it's overall that dietary intervention really plays a very deep role for all of us. And especially if you look into the certain key factors I mentioned, like vitamin B12, zinc, um, please try to get as many natural forms of multivitamins and trace elements like magnesium, potassium. All of these are very important. Mushrooms have got health benefits. All of these have got very good health benefits. Berries. So please do your research, work with what you have, get rid of what you know is very bad for the body, and then slowly start introducing this to your children. And I'm sure slowly but surely you will find some results. So thank you so much. I mean, I've shared as much as I can as a parent, and I'm wondering if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Anupa. So, participants, if you could just, you could ask questions directly, or you could also send it in chat. We can do that.